So, Jesse, what are we doing for season 4?
Didn't we just say that? Or were you recording a whole bunch of bumps?
Jesse, we're going to be doing something special for season 4.
Are you in a loop? Do you need a factory reset?
No. For season 4, we're going to be taking your questions, your creative questions from you, our curious gamer audience.
I think would be a good thing for our curious gamer audience to know
What's that?
how to get those questions to us.
What should they do if our curious gamer audience has a creative question for us for season 4? How can they get it to us?
They can email that question to jauntymantis@gmail.com.
Yeah, so enjoy this bonus episode, and we'll hopefully be seeing your question for season 4. Welcome and well met to the Jaunty Mantis podcast. This is a podcast about tabletop role-playing games for two curious gamers such as us. Start asking creative questions. I have with me, as always, my beautiful co-host, Jesse. Jesse, I forgot what I was about to say. Jesse,
Yes.
what is our question for today's episode?
Uh, why are we obsessed with being not obsessed is not the right word. I don't know. It was an idea you had. You texted it to me and I liked it.
Okay,
That's
I'm the other co-host of this podcast. My name is Matty, and this is a fucking train wreck. But that's the Jaunty Mantis. We don't do it any other way. And our question for this episode is, why the fuck do gamers need to be overpowered? God damn it.
yes.
Does that work?
That works for me.
And let me give a little bit of a setup for this. So, on when I'm pooping and I'm looking at my phone and I'm seeing articles come up, clickbait articles. They're all about like here's the 10 most overpowered spells in D&D 5e. Here's the must play subclasses and combinations. Here's the overpowered magic items your DM doesn't want you to use. And I'm sitting there going, why does this exist?
That last one's weird because how would you get them if the DM didn't want you to use them?
I don't know.
Like, it's not like you can spontaneously generate magical items.
The only thing I could think of was in fourth edition, they put like character plotting
Oh, yeah,
in
you
the
write
hands
your
of the
list of like, I
players.
want these five magic items over the next like three levels of character
Yeah,
advancement.
which like I'm actually a huge fan of that idea. If that's a part of how you play the game. Like I appreciated that part of 4E for the players to be like, yeah, I want this item, this item, this item. I'm like, cool, I'll put them in the game for you. That way, when they pop up, they know who they're supposed to go to. And then you get that asshole rogue who's like, no, that's hunter. That's a hunter weapon. I can use that.
No, you don't understand. My shaman is going to be only a cloth wearer. It's fine for me to roll on this.
Yeah, man. I can
That
use
was a
that
Matty
staff.
project, and by the way, in World of Warcraft, and
Hell yeah.
we got into so many fights with pub groups.
Oh, yeah. I love picking fights with strangers online, or at least I used to. I don't like it anymore. I grew up.
But if you haven't and want to pick a fight with us, you can reach us at thejauntymantis@gmail.com.
But before, is it the Jaunty Mantis or is it Jaunty Mantis?
Well, if they want to pick a fight with us, they should use the wrong email address so
Oh,
we never
okay.
see it. But if you want to give us praise
Mhm.
and coddle my fragile ego, it's jauntymantis@gmail.com.
Yeah, you could also go to your favorite podcatcher of choice and leave us whatever the equivalent of a high star review is and say some nice things.
That
Or,
really helps other people find us. And if you want to inflict that on the world,
yeah,
we hope you do. We think you should. We try.
that's so true. So, Jesse, why do gamers need to be overpowered? Because I don't think these clickbait articles would exist if gamers didn't want to be overpowered. And my question comes from this idea that if we're just going to focus on D&D, it's a game you can't win, first and foremost. And then in the case of 5e, like the game is designed to put that good fortune or favor in the hands of the players. And number three, with the resting mechanics the way they are, it's completely arbitrary on when you can recharge your resources. The whole game is designed to make you be overpowered. So what is our obsession with like trying to do whatever these clickbait articles are offering you? What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think the clickbait articles are like Leonard's frozen pizza reviews in Community.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
but no, I mean, I think
Wow.
that's the deep cut, right?
That was amazing.
Thank you. Like I love that show. And I haven't done a rewatch in a long time, so I'm proud I remembered that. You're watching, aren't you? Okay, so how do I answer this one? I chicken and the egg, I think power gaming existed before
Mm-hmm.
those clickbaity articles. And I think that at a certain point, if you are trying to power game your character to be the most broken, extreme, blah, blah, blah feat combinations, um, you're probably not terribly concerned with the other player's experience at the table.
Okay.
Now, if everyone in your group does that, cool. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Like you can net deck a character. Um, Net decking, for those of you who don't know, is looking up the most winningest Magic the Gathering deck and then buying those cards. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, but yeah, I think people just really feel like adversity is losing sometimes, or like not being incredibly awesome in my fantasy game is losing sometimes, and they don't like to lose, even though
Mm-hmm.
you can't really win. Have we told the Catherine coming home story on the air yet?
I think we have, but go ahead and tell it again.
So we were playing Shadowrun, I think, was it, or D&D, one of them. We were playing them.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend at the time, who I lived with, came home just absolutely hammered and throws open the door to our apartment. We're in the living room right by the front door, the apartment, throws in, stumbles in, slams the door, and says, "Who's winning?" Oh, that's right. Nobody, because you're all losers. And then like snort laughs and stumbles back to the back bedroom where I think she passed out and we kept
Mm-hmm.
playing D&D.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't win D&D
Yeah. Not with that kind of attitude, you
because
can't.
you're all losers.
What we're describing is power gaming, essentially.
Yeah. But
How
do you think there's a difference between these being overpowered or this obsession and power gaming?
is there a difference?
Yeah.
I think that there is a difference between wanting to optimize, um, especially if you like these articles, I think are written for people who are new to role playing games and new to Dungeons and Dragons, and they're just looking for more. Like hobbies and interests have this weird accessory component to them where if you watch people get into photography, and even though they could take pictures and learn how to get better at it with really any camera, they insist on getting the kind of cameras that the pros use, and they do things, they imitate what the best photographers do or what the enthusiasts do, and they read things online or they watch videos and they get super immersed in it. And that's just an aspect of how humans get into things
Do you think,
nowadays.
well, I think that's an aspect of how humans get into things in the digital age where we're used to training ourselves through
Yeah, I agree.
YouTube and computers to do things. But yeah, I mean, there to me, then you could posit, I think, that it's a bleed over from that's the way we do everything else. So when we come to this hobby, which is not technically like everything else, you
Hmm.
might apply some of those same mechanisms. Do you optimize characters?
I have optimized characters in the past just to see what it's like. Um, third edition D&D is the perfect example. We brought it up on the show. The
Oh yeah, I
the
remember him.
the creeping splat book problem, the power creep problem. The third edition Dungeons and Dragons just released books like, crazy. And they were all filled with like feats and prestige classes and spells, just galore. And every book that came out had to outdo the ones that came before it because that's how they sold books, you know? And so then when you started to look at the like entirety, the universal options that were available to you with all these different combinations, that almost became a game into itself. So in that regard, I did make optimized characters because the idea of exploring the options became appealing. But I don't know if I ever optimized to specifically be overpowered other than like one or two characters, which is I think what you were making noises of recognition about earlier. I created a character that uses the rage mechanic that was common to barbarians.
The orkiest orc that ever orked.
Hmm. And he got to a point where he could do like the first round of combat, he could kill everything without anybody else taking a turn. Like it got that ridiculous. And I wasn't like super satisfied and pleased with it. And when the rest of the group came to me and said, "Hey, would you consider rolling a different character because we also want to do combat?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's fine. Happy to do it."
Yeah, I just my attention span for a single character is back in those days was terribly short. So I would just some new book would come out and I wouldn't get online to optimize it, but I would use my knowledge of game mastery,
Hmm.
you know, to optimize character. And then Matty started doing a thing after I moved out because he had a folder with all my old character sheets. He started
Hmm.
using them as the villains,
Yeah.
and they were just murder machines.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. It's
so
the perfect villain is some sort of crazy concoction that your best friend made.
um yeah, I mean I optimize characters. I like when my characters do cool things.
Hmm.
Um I have looked at a character optimization website before, like the robot one, ask I don't know what it was. And I don't do it like word for word, but I'm interested to know like what is the ranking, but it's not from clickbait articles.
Hmm.
I do watch animated spell book and think it's cool, like the in-depth they go into those spells, but I don't think the tone of that is like all spells are awesome because it's magic. That seems to be the underlying current there. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Why are we obsessed with it?
You made the statement that power gaming was could have an inherently toxic effect on the rest of the group. You
Yes.
go more into that?
Um, yeah, I just think if you know how to do that, or you looked up online how to do that. There was an example. This is a character I statted out and had was on the arc, but the campaign we were playing had abandoned. He was a soul knife using the 3.5 psychic rules. And I had found a combo online and I was curious about it that basically by sixth level you could unlock some kind of infinite attack combo that you
Mm,
technically never had to stop. So you were just like a psychic knife laser beam just drilling through an opponent because it broke the action economy in ways that were crazy. And
mm,
I never actually went through with it because it just seemed too broken.
yeah. What's the negative effect on the rest of the party then?
You do all the cool stuff and they are like your accessory. They're like your henchmen.
Hmm.
They don't get to have their cool as moments because you take all the cool moments first.
So if I could play devil's advocate for a second here, when is when is enough? Like how do you know when this optimized overpowered power gaming character is doing that to the party? Like is that a revelation you come to like I did where it was like, "Oh wow, look, I'm killing everything in the first round of combat and every fight we get into." Uh But my fellow players in my group were like, they had no problem approaching me about like, hey, this isn't fun for us.
I
You know what
think,
I mean?
I think for people who are mature, and I'm gonna go, here's the wildest hot take that I've ever said had on the Johnny Manis. You and I are both mature adults.
What?
Fuck, man. I can't believe I said that out loud. Um,
But I
yeah, I
said
think you and I
poop
would both
earlier.
come to the realization like shit, no one else is getting to do anything, and the DM just looks so sad every time they
Hmm.
like throw a monster. Uh, although I will admit a lot of my DMing is looking sad for the benefit of the players because actually I'm sort of a fan,
Hmm.
you know. But
Yeah.
it just feels more meaningful to them when I'm like, but
I feel like a power gamer would love being in a game with me because I'm gonna make an underpowered character who's pretty useless, and we're gonna balance each other out. Like if there's an overpowered character in the game, I'm like, oof, okay, I can make this guy as useless as I can possibly. And is that a form of like reverse optimization? You know, because I've had people be like, "Hey, this like your character sucks at combat. You're holding us back." That's been said to me, not in that exact way. That's a summary of the idea. But that has been said to me in groups I've played in before, where it's like, and I've seen it been said to other people. Like my friend Keith once played a character who was, I think he was a dragonborn cleric, and he had a very specific ritual related to the dragon of his scale type in order to heal, and it involved pain. And he didn't believe he had access to the power and the magic of his draconic ancestry unless he went through this ritual. So when the party got into a fight and didn't observe his attempt to role play to prepare for this ritual, they're like, then he wouldn't heal them because he was like, my character honestly doesn't believe he has the power to do it. And they like, you know, fucking took the role playing hats off, the game hats off, and was like, this is a game where we fight things, right? Like, why did you play the healer if you're not going to heal us? And he's like, oh, I will heal you. I'm just trying to do this thing with my character. And it was like they were kind of rude to him, to be perfectly honest.
yeah,
But
that's
like,
that's dirty pool if you ask me.
I kind of get both sides of it because this was fourth edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh shit. Okay, that's a different story.
So like I don't want to be a complete asshole about, painting them in this bad light. This could have been solved with like a session zero conversation, but those were earlier days. So, you know,
I have a question. Can I jump in?
yeah, please do.
I have a question that I was just thinking about, and I wondered if this is a blind spot for us. I feel like I'm operating in this space, and I want to ask if you feel like maybe you are too, where I'm making an assumption that someone that maximized their character is doing that because they're rolling dice and saying numbers part of the game is the thing that they enjoy, and they're not also doing the character stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a weird assumption for me to make because I like system mastery and I like having powerful characters. Harrow is a murder machine, and I made him to be a murder machine, but Harrow also is an interesting character who I role play as.
Mm-hmm.
So it's both.
Mm-hmm. Isn't Harrow supposed to be a coffee lock at some point?
No, I was never going to do that.
Oh, okay, never
I
mind.
considered it when I learned what that was, but I was like, nah, I won't do that to Johnny Five.
A coffee lock, I'm gonna screw this up, but it's basically like it uses the fact that you're a warforged and you don't actually you're not actually out of commission while you sleep, and it takes advantage of the short rest mechanics, meaning that like you basically just regenerate spells by using like sorcerer points or something like that.
No, okay. Sorry, you're
I'm
wrong,
butchering it.
sir.
Yeah. I only watched this video once, so bear with me.
All right,
Go
here's
ahead.
Coffee Lock. You multi-class as a warlock and a sorcerer. And as a sorcerer, you gain access to spell points. And there's a mechanic with spell points where you can sacrifice your spell slots to gain spell points and then use those spell slots to do things like cast spells when your slots are gone, and you have a recurring at a certain number of rests. Like you have spell points as a sorcerer. Like you got like
Mm-hmm.
two at this level and then three at this level or whatever, but you can sacrifice spells to bank them.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big deal for a normal sorcerer, but if you're a warlock who recovers their spells on a short rest, you just take a short rest and then sacrifice your warlock spells, just how a multi-class warlock paladin can use their warlock spells for their smites,
Mm-hmm.
which is official in the rulings of D&D. Like if you are a multi-class paladin warlock, story-wise, how? Um, so you basically sacrifice warlock spell slots to get you spell points, and then you take a short rest to get those warlock spells back, and then you sacrifice them again to get more spell points until you basically have an infinite number of spell slots. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because you just keep staying up drinking coffee all night to take the short rest for another hour.
And
Warforged would make it even better
mm-hmm.
because you could get two off for free during a long rest.
And this appeals to me as a thought experiment. Like if I get to watch a really cool animated and very funny video about this, I'm all for it. But am I going to do that in somebody's game? No, no. That's not what's fun for me about the game.
But do you ever have that moment where you have a problem to solve in the game and you have just the perfect thing on your character sheet for it?
I don't know if that's ever happened.
That happened to me, and it was so hard last night when I was like, it's 10:30, we shouldn't kick off the combat.
Even though you had the perfect thing.
I have the fucking perfect thing.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Can I
Brilliant.
talk about it?
Please do.
Okay. So here's the situation. We went through this long ass mining tunnel, and we got out to the end of this tunnel, and there's this keep of some, I guess, goblins who've been attacking the town we're in. We're doing the Lost Obelisk, the Lost Mines of Fandelvin, like expansion, like full on adventure campaign. Um, so we get out to this keep and we see some arrow slits. We cautiously use Woolrith, the wise and dry wizard's new familiar, Newt, who he wears like night vision goggles, or Sally the salamander, who he wears like night vision goggles on his head because a salamander can see in the dark. And
Mm.
so he just walks around with this thing on his head like night vision goggles, because we're the freak force who can all see in the dark.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's arrow slits and then this big door, and the depressed gnome goes up and knocks on the fucking door.
No, it was dubbed. I did it.
You knocked on the door
I went up to the door, yeah.
after
Because
the knock.
oh, was it after the knock? Okay.
Yeah, they weren't looking out the arrow slits. And then Vorgin went and knocked on the door and stepped against the door like, hee hee, I'm invisible. I think he thought they were going to open it, ignoring the arrow slit part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But so basically, these guys, combat ensues. Dupt got jacked by some psionic attack. I guess they're brain goblins or something.
Mm-hmm.
So they're behind a wall, and arrow slit. Really, really hard to get up there unless you're a warlock, a hexblade warlock who has blink on your spell list. And
Mm-hmm.
then it is trivial to step into the ethereal plane, look through the arrow slot, and reappear 10 feet away from your position in an unoccupied space in the tower room with them, where
Mm-hmm.
you cast darkness that you can see in, and then just proceed to murder the goblins.
Who will also be able to see in the darkness, right?
No, because it's the spell darkness.
Oh,
Because of my
okay.
warlock pact, I totally can. Ha ha
Yes.
ha 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 ha.
Well,
That
brilliant.
feeling of being able to do that, I get why people make overpowered characters. I don't know if I'd call myself overpowered.
You did
I'm,
not optimize for that specific encounter. So the joy that comes from having the unique solution to this problem is a matter of chaos. It's a matter of random occurrence.
there's not a lot of things that blink and the ability to see in the own darkness you drop don't solve, though.
That's true, but it's not like you did this every fight you've ever been in.
Yeah,
I
I've only
mean,
done it
maybe you
once in
should
the
have.
campaign, the darkness.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
mean, you're taking advantage of how the rules work, which is just system mastery. I don't know if that's necessarily power gaming or optimization.
I mean, I guess maybe where if I had to draw a line, and this is very shaky ground for me, but if I had to draw a line is like I didn't just look this up. I know how it works, and I did it knowing how it works.
And now you have a situation to use it in.
Yeah.
If you did this in every single fight and it dramatic and it made like the whole threat level of each fight like paltry and insignificant, then maybe I would agree that this is like optimization or power gaming. But this is you haven't even done this yet. We're just talking
It's
about it
gonna be
right now.
cool. There's a lot of times actually, and this is interesting because not the rest of the party isn't optimized.
Hmm.
Like I don't think anybody's really optimized. They're just playing 5e characters and they're not, like total novices. Um, but there's so many times where I have this cool combo built in my head and I'm just waiting for it to tick around to my turn. And by the time I do, like everything's dead. And I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
well,
It would have been cool.
it would have been cool. But in this case, they're behind a wall. So
Mm.
hopefully I'll get to be cool.
Yeah.
And I think if you're looking at it from a generous point of view, just wanting to be cool is
Well, that's
probably,
that's a good thing.
yeah.
Like we all live lives in which, you have a tough week at work or, whatever is happening in the world, regardless of where you fall, you know, ideology, ethically, politically, religiously, whatever. The world's a fucked up place and you're living in it. And because of social media and the way that the internet works, you get to hear about it all the goddamn time. Um, and we feel powerless in our everyday lives. And role playing games help us feel powerful. And it's an acceptable place to do that in. You are the big burly warrior, or you know what I mean, or the savage, Amazon barbarian, or the sneaky thief, or the archer that can, shoot shit from, football fields away, or the awesome spellcaster, or the coffee lock, or whatever. It's kind of a core facet of, D&D is helping you feel like you can be powerful in a different in an imaginative space, and you're fine, and that's fine. That's what it's supposed to do, you know.
We touched on this a little bit, but I think I could have one more question that I had rereading the text message where we started talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Can a game be broken?
Can the game itself be broken, or can you break a game?
Can a player break a game?
I mean, the soul knife example with infinite attacks, I would argue, is breaking a game.
Yeah.
Because if you attack forever, then nothing other ever happens again. And like, if you were doing a character who has infinite attacks in my game, I'd close the books and be like, okay, well, what do you guys want to do now? Because he's just going to attack for the rest of eternity, and I'm just going to let it happen because it's in the rules. Like my least favorite thing to do as a GM in a role playing game is get into a debate or an argument about what the rules are. I fucking hate it, you know?
Well, see,
It,
that's this is probably splitting hairs, but like your reaction of like, what do you want to do now? He's going to attack forever because the rules allow it. If the rules allow it, is it broken? Like,
yeah, I would say it is.
I
If you are
think you're
not playing the
breaking the
game,
social contract. I think you're breaking the play loop. I think you're ruining other people's days, and they spent a lot of time preparing for this and getting there. You should probably be more sensitive. But I don't know if that's possible to do anymore in D&D in current editions or in
okay.
Pathfinder to make something that like the action economy is where it always breaks. Like if it
Mm-hmm.
does break, if you do break a game, it's in the action economy. If a
That's
game
true.
can be broken, it's there.
I would say the game becomes broken when nobody wants to play it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you definitely can.
You know, if the GM doesn't want to continue the game and the rest of the players have nothing to do because somebody has an infinite attack, set a series of attacks, I would consider the game has been properly broken. The game is meant to be played. You play with a group of people. It is a social environment. It is a these kinds of social events and environments have social contracts. And when everything comes to a screeching halt and you're doing something else, the game has been broken. That's that's what I think.
So then the next step to connect that, do overpowered characters break the game?
No. I
Oh,
think players break the game
okay.
because by our own admission, the examples we gave in this episode so far, I asked you if you were going to do a coffee lock and you said, "No, I don't want to do that to J5. He's our friend." You know what goes into running a game. You want this to be a successful activity. You enjoy participating in this very social activity, and you don't want to like ruin that for anybody involved. So you made a conscious decision to not coffee lock. In the example that I gave, I made a conscious decision to accept the feedback I was getting from my fellow players about my unstoppable orc barbarian character and was like, yeah, fuck it. I won't play him anymore. I don't care. Like it's more about the fun and the friends we made along the way, you know? And so I don't think I think it's players who break games. You may not have consciously or purposefully made a broken character, but if you realize that it is ruining the experience for everybody else and your reaction is I don't care. No, you might have an issue.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be judgmental. I apologize.
Yeah, just well, I mean, the advice for anything is just go to therapy. Right? So
Yeah.
seek
I mean
therapy,
like
get help.
it's gaming is a group activity. Let's put it into context, I guess. Like if this was like a softball game, can someone break a softball game? You have a set of rules and circumstances. You know what I mean?
I think you have to be like superhumanly fast in order to break a softball game. Like
But
every
then
time
you just
someone's about to
win.
catch a ball, you're just there, like, yeah, got it.
You win the game and nobody wants to play you, right?
Right.
You can't win D&D. You can't win Rifts, the Ultimate Edition. You can't win Shadowrun. You can't win Troika.
Yeah, no, there's too many tigers in that to win.
Yeah. So, I think gaming is a unique thing of its own. And I
I
think
mean,
it,
I feel like it's literally as simple as like you win when everybody has fun. Like
uh-huh. But that sucks.
it's not a cool thing to say because it's
Yeah.
so
It's
earnest,
boring.
but yeah, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. I
Like
mean, I believe it.
that's
Yeah.
how you win a role-playing game. Everybody had fun at the session.
Yeah, but if you said that to me in person, I would have to work very hard not to roll my eyes,
Yeah,
but you're right, I can't disagree with that.
cool.
Okay. Well, listener, if you have creative questions, ideas, comments, or feedback for us, jauntymantis@gmail.com is our email. Jesse, if they have any skeets or toots, where do they send those?
Please don't skeet at me.
Sorry.
Please.
Skeet, skeet, skeet. Tweet, tweet, tweet. If they have those, where do they send them?
You can reach us at the Wanty Mantis on the site formerly known as Twitter, or I'm at Jingoist Fet.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's us.
Yeah, that's true. And until next time, get out there and don't play a broken character. Have
Yeah,
respect
no,
for your
but if
fellow gamers.
I'm a Hexblade, Pact of the Blade. If you have any broken build tips, I'm like level 5 right now, and yeah, send them my way.
Or don't.
But keep it brief.
But keep it brief.